Hi, welcome to Artificial Intelligence for Upper Elementary. This is day 10. If you haven't watched days 1 to 9, that's okay. You can start with this video. This is a Code 5 course by me, Charlotte Dungan. I'm the AI program architect at the North Carolina School of Science and Math. This video is produced in partnership with AI for Teachers, CS is Elementary, and funded by Infosys Foundation USA. Today, we're going to celebrate the 5 big ideas in AI, and we're going to play with some really fun projects. So it is day 10, sadly, the last session in this series. I really hope you've learned some of the fun ways that AI computer systems learn and how they help us every day. It's been so fun for me, so I made a bit of a surprise for our last day, and I'm so excited. Remember, the 5 big ideas all work together to create these technologies that we use every day. So today, we're going to do a greatest hits party. We're going to do 5 mini projects to celebrate the 5 big ideas. Because there's so many small projects, remember that you can always pause and finish what you're doing with one of the mini projects before you go to the next one. In this mini session extravaganza, we're going to do each of the 5 big ideas and a project for each one. Ready to get started? Me too. Here we go. So our first party play is going to be our first big idea. And our first big idea is sensors and perception. Remember, we use sensors all the time in AI. We use microphones for a computer to listen to us. We use speakers for us to hear the computer. We use cameras in order to grab visual information. And we use all kinds of other sensors too. Like we can even measure things like our own temperature. We can measure how much water is in the soil. There's all kinds of sensors. But today we're going to do a teachable machine audio project. If you were here earlier in this session, you did a video project. So this will be a new one where we're going to use the microphone sensor in order to gather information about the audio that we make, our sounds, and then perceive it and see if the machine can recognize what we're saying. Here we go. Here's your link, teachablemachine.withgoogle.com. You can always pause if you need more time to get the link before you come over. I'm going to move over to my Teachable Machine window. And here it is. If you ended up on this screen, you need the Get Started button. It's right here. Woo, I'll make a big circle just because that's fun. Okay, then I'm going to click the button. And then I'm going to delete my circle. There we go. All right. And last time we did the image project, but this time we're going to do an audio project. Audio means sound. So in this case, we're going to be recording sound. And the picture that you see here, this pink and blue line thing, is the visual representation of the sound that we make. When we are louder, it gets bigger. And sometimes when you're talking, whether you say something really high or say something really low, and you can also graph that tone. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're going to click that button. If you did the image button or the image project before, this is a little bit different with some of the same controls. So follow along, even if you've done this before. Now, the first thing we're going to do is record our background noise. That's all the things that are making noise around us that we can't control. So if you have someone cooking in your kitchen and they're banging some pots, or your dog is barking, maybe you're in a classroom and other kids are moving around and you can hear their bodies and maybe even their voices, that's okay. That's what we're going to be recording. What you don't want to record is your own voice. Okay, so when you're recording your background noise, you don't want it to ignore your voice in the next projects. So sometimes, like, I make noises on my desk, or I my foot my chair might make a creaky sound or something. And that's fine, but don't use your voice as you're recording your background noise, or the machine won't be able to tell the difference between what your room sounds like and what you sound like. So you're going to start right here at this background noise microphone icon. That's what you're going to click on. So go ahead and do that now. And then as you do that, you have to tell it that your microphone, which microphone you want. If your computer has asked you to turn on your microphone, that's up here, and you might have to give permission. Make sure you say yes. If you've accidentally switched off that control, you can turn it on right there with that icon. Awesome. So we're going to turn on our microphones, and just make sure you choose the one that's, if you have one built into your computer, it'll just say internal. Just make sure you choose the name of your microphone. It'll be different than mine, and that's okay. Then we're going to be very quiet, and we're going to push this record 20 seconds button. If you are listening to me, I'm going to push this button and mute and wait 20 seconds. And that's a great time for you to push this button too, because I'll be quiet. So I'm going to push this button, and then we'll be back all together in just a minute. Hopefully your button has been pushed and you're all set with 20 seconds of background noise. Now, one thing that's very different about the audio project than about the video project is that you have to push this button to say that you got the right good sound. So if you accidentally talked during this, re-push the record button, pause this video, push the record button and record again before you push this pink button that's circled. That extract sample button takes the audio and moves it into where the teachable machine will use it. So I'm going to push that button right now. And there it took the audio that it recorded for that 20 seconds, and it broke it up into 4 times 5 is 20, 21-second clips. The teachable machine for audio only records 1 second. So this project works best if you only think of a single word. Don't try to do something longer than that, or it won't work. So the next thing I'm going to do is set up a class. The class is going to be the word that I choose. I'm going to choose one of my favorite animals. So I'm going to say the word penguin. Penguin, like that. And now I have to record 8 samples of me saying penguin. Let me show you how I do it before you do yours. It's a little bit tricky. Again, I'm going to click that same microphone button that I had before, and I have to choose which microphone I want. So make sure you choose both your microphone and set it up before you hit the record button. Then we're going to record 2 seconds at a time. And remember, this records 1 second blocks. So that means we're going to press record and we're going to say our word 2 times in a row. Let's watch it. You'll even see a little white dash that separates 1 second from 2 seconds. If you said your word really fast, penguin, penguin, and you put it inside 1 second, that would be a mistake. You want to say your word clearly, and then you want to say it again. So here it goes. Penguin, penguin. And you can see on the graph, on the line, if I've gotten the timing right. It looks like I just made it to say penguin before it wasn't able to, before it shut off. So if I'm happy with how that looks, I can extract the sample and move it over. I'm going to pause now for my own audio and video while I record mine so that you have a quiet time to record yours. So I'm going to do the same process until I have at least 8 blocks. 8 is the minimum. I could do more if I wanted to. Remember, every time you record 2 seconds, say your word 2 times, and then make sure you press the extract sample button before you record another 2. I'll show you one more time, just so you're all set. Penguin, penguin. That looks good. Extract. I'm going to do that a couple more times while I'm muted, so you can do yours. Here we go. If you haven't gotten yours, pause, then finish and come back. Okay, we're going to add our third class. I'm adding another of my favorite animals. You can always choose any word that you like. I'm going to choose lemur. Lemur. Lemurs have really long tails. I like that about them. So I'm going to switch my microphone. Don't forget that step or it won't record your sound. If you get a graph that doesn't show any pink on it, it means it probably didn't get your sound. I'm going to do just what I did before. Lemur, lemur. Extract. And I'm going to do that so I have at least 8 samples. Let's pause, give everybody time to do it, and then come back. I'm back. I've finished my audio samples, and I hope you've had time to do yours too. The next thing is I could make more and more classes if I wanted to do more words. I could make lion or rhinoceros, and that would be fine. I could just keep adding more classes, but for today, we've got so many activities. I'm going to keep going. Now, remember, after you have had all of your samples put in, we have to train our computer on what those sound like, and that happens right here. So just make sure that you click the Train Model button and give it a little bit of time to work. This is where the computer is learning what your voice sounds like and what you've said and how to show it. As soon as it's done, though, it's going to start working. You can see the graph of what it looks like when I'm talking. And if I'm quiet, you can see the output of what noises I'm making. So take a look down here. This is giving a graph of what the computer program thinks I'm trying to say. I don't have anything for just random talking, right? So it always can only guess the background noise, penguin, or lemur. If I'm quiet, you'll see the background noise. That one definitely works. Let's try penguin, 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 penguin. I have to say it a lot of times for that graph to go up, but it looks like it worked. Let's try lemur. Lemur, 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 lemur. I got it. It's able to recognize my different words. It's able to sense using a microphone and then perceive, actually make some meaning out of the sounds that it was able to take in. And that way it can understand what I'm saying. If I make a match to the words, then it can write them down. And lots of technologies use this. So our first big idea was sensors and perception. Now we're going to do our next project. It is big idea number 2, representation and reasoning. A representation is how a computer understands the world. That means that if you teach it a game like Connect 4, all it knows about the world is a grid of circles and 2 little playing pieces that are red and yellow. And it knows that the way to win the game is to get 4 in a row. And that if you allow the other color to get 4 in a row, you lose. That's the whole representation, and the reasoning is the strategy it uses in order to win. There are all kinds of examples of representations and reasoning, but you can think of it as how a computer understands the world, and then what it does in order to make the right choices within that world. So that could be a game. It could be how it understands a map. Like, for example, if we have a map of our city, and our city has a public transportation, like a bus stop, right? You can imagine, or maybe it's your school bus, the map only is going to show where the bus can go, each of those stops. The computer doesn't need to understand the bike paths or the ways that you might walk in that representation. It only needs to know where the bus can go so it can plan the best possible route. So the representation is the part of the world that we help the computer understand. And the game we're going to play with this idea of representation is called Pix to Pix. Here's the link. I had to make a tiny URL because it has a kind of complicated link. So use this one and it will take you to Pix to Pix AI. tinyurl.com/pix2pixai. All right, I'm going to switch. Here we go. Remember, you can always pause and go back if you didn't get the URL quite yet. Okay, Pix2Pix moves from a line drawing to an object. It is able to understand what a shoe is based on the drawing that you make and try to fill in what it thinks it should look like. You'll notice that the drawing loaded here is just a sketch, and it has some detail that the computer is able to fill in. You can also do the other versions of this called cats or maybe Pokemon. This is like an outdoor scene. But I like the shoe best because you can make different kinds of shoes, and it's interesting to see how the computer draws them. So let's go ahead and give that a try. We're going to clear, and that is the button down here. This says, hey, I want to draw my own shoe. Let's go ahead and do that. Push the clear button, clear, and now we can draw our shoe. I'm going to start with a high heel. Oh, but look, I'm using my marker tool to show you. Let me draw with the real tool. I'm just going to use my mouse, and I'm going to draw what I think a shoe looks like. So my shoe is going to have a high heel, and it's going to go down. Maybe it's got this pointy part here, kind of goes like this. There we go. Now this has made a representation of my shoe, and it's actually not too bad. There's kind of shoes like that, but remember, the more detail we can give to our representation, the better it can do at actually simulating what a shoe would look like. Like maybe I want to give it a little bit more of a sole, or maybe I want to give it a little bit more definition on that heel. Maybe I want to give it a strap. And so you can choose what you want your drawing to look like and see if you can make it turn into a real shoe. If you don't want to do a high heel, that's fine. You can do something like a high top. My high top shoes look something like this. Oh boy. And that kind of looks like a brown slipper, actually, like not too bad. But my shoes have all kinds of more detail, like they have a little toe cap part like that. And they often have things like little vent holes. And look, my shoe is even changing color as I make changes. Sometimes shoes have like stripes on them. You can draw your shoe however you'd like. I'm going to see if I add laces to mine. And if you make your laces more detailed, like with thickness, they'll actually come out better than if you draw a single line, because real shoelaces actually have some thickness to them. And you can start to see the computer is sort of drawing like a shoe. It's really interesting. What if I even put some big laces up here? What will it do? It's like, oh, I don't know what that is. Let's try to make that a little bit thicker. There we go. So you can draw with this too. Or if you want to switch to cats, I bet some of you already switched to cats. If you do cats, just be aware that you can choose the larger model and that'll do a better job than the smaller model. So make sure you click that 50 before you get started. And then you'll see this drawing drew a cat. I'm going to clear it and I'm going to draw my cat. It's got sort of a face on it. Oh boy, it doesn't have any eyes. Maybe we should draw those eyes or a nose. Go ahead and draw and play, and we'll join up again in just a minute. I made a really funny cat. If you're still playing, just hit pause and come join us for the rest of the party when you're all done drawing with AI. Okay, we're ready for our third part of the party. That is our third big idea. And this one is learning from data. Computers learn from data. If you don't give them good data, if you don't give them enough data, if you don't let them practice enough times before you build something, they can't do a good job. In this case, we're going to be we're going to be writing a story with AI where we get it started and it fills in the rest of the story for us. This computer model has been trained on a lot of writing. It's read a lot of books. We call that ingested, which is a funny word. It's like you've eaten something. And so it knows what the patterns are when people write. And that's really fun when you want it to write you a story. So let's go to this website and we're going to start with once upon a time because that will get us a story. Sometimes if you write other stuff, it comes out a little weird. So here's our link. It's kind of a tricky one. It's app.inferkit, inferkit.com/demo. If you forget the demo part, it won't take you to the right website. So make sure you head over there. Pause if you need to. Here we go. I'm going to take us over to the website. And this is a real thing that they sell, and they want to just show us how it works. We have to change an important setting here, and that is right here. There's a little arrow. Do you see that arrow? We're going to change that so we can write our own text. And so I'm going to do that by clicking that arrow and going up to custom prompt. Okay, go to custom prompt, and then we can write whatever we want into the box. I'm going to write once upon a time because so many good stories start that way that I can be pretty sure that I'm going to get a story by doing that. Once upon a time. And then I hit complete text, and we'll be able to watch the computer build a story. Every time I do this, I get a different story. I never know what is going to come up. This one, a little thing called love invaded my life. And I'm like, it's all about having a baby, and something in the toilet caught my eye. This is strange. Let's make it a little bit more specific about once upon a time, and we can say what we want to happen. Once upon a time, a penguin and a lemur, and then we generate another story. Met in the African veldt. That's all I remember because he told me he used to be a lemur. Then we went inside and he made me drink the dirty water that comes out of the tap. Isn't this funny? It makes these strange, nonsensical stories. You take a minute and type in and make a story of your own. I'm going to put the link up again for people who need it. Okay, hopefully you've made some silly stories. And now we're going to move to our fourth big idea. Drum roll. Bring. Natural interaction. Natural interaction is when a computer works with us so naturally, seamlessly, easily that we don't have to think about it. When I talk to my phone, when I am able to use a technology and just ask it a question and it just answers me and it just works, that's when a technology interacts naturally. So we're going to play a word game. It's called semantris, and semantris is a play on words. It means semantics. Semantics is like when you use a word to mean sort of the same thing, where they're close but not quite. One common word is good. There are lots of words for the word good. You could say it was fine, which is like, right? Or you could say, that was really good, or that was great, or that was fabulous, or it was fantastic, or it was outstanding. And those words are all somewhat related, just like fine is kind of related to good, or okay is somewhat related to good. Semantics is how you decide which of those words you use and how they're related. So we're going to play a word game. And the reason that the semantics, oh goodness, that's a tongue twister. The reason that semantics are important for computers is that if they get the meaning slightly wrong, people are very sensitive to it. Like if someone turns in an amazing A+ project and the AI wrote back, that's so-so or okay, you might not feel the same way as if it said outstanding, right? But those words are all really closely related. So computers have to learn this, all those close semantics, so they can do a better job of talking to us. Here is the link: research.google.com/semantris. It's spelled differently than semantics because it's the name of the game. Make sure you spell it as it's showed here: SEMANTRIS. If you need a moment, simply pause, grab the link, and then come back. All right, I'm going to go over to semantris, which is a super fun game. The way this works is if you like fast-paced games and you are good at typing, the good at typing part is really important, then you can play the arcade game. This is only for people who can fast type, okay? Do not play this if you are not quick at typing. If you are okay at typing or poor at typing, choose this other game. The game I'm going to show is the blocks. I like the arcade style game. It's super fun. It's just sometimes challenging for kids who are struggling to type. So play the other one if you're unsure. So I'm going to choose play blocks. It's the big button right there. Here I go, play blocks. And I'm going to get a whole lot of words. I'm also going to mute this because it's distracting to me. If you don't have headphones and you're around other people, you can mute up here in the corner. Just turn off the sounds and then you won't annoy people around you. There we go, just like that. Okay, type something related to one of the words below. Your clue can be as long as you'd like. So you look at a word and you think, what's related to scissors? And I might say paper. And it's going to say, let's see if the AI understands which block you're talking about. Maybe pencil is another good match. Maybe pen is another good match. But it looks like scissors was the best guess. It guessed my closest word. So now because it made the guess with my word, it's going to give me points. Boom. Got new blocks. Experiment to see what clues the AI understands best. We don't want the blocks to pile up to here. Then we lose. So I'm going to see if I can get one of those bottom words. And I'm going to go with the moon. I'm going to put sun. And I'm going to see if that will eliminate one of those bottom blocks. Oh. There we go. Made a match. Good. I got some more blocks. And I think I need to go for blue, right? So I'm going to go for a dinosaur. You get the idea. Now it's your turn to play. Go ahead and take a minute and play some mantras. Off you go. Hopefully you've had a few minutes to play some mantras. It's even better if you're still playing because it means you haven't reached the top of the board yet. It's fun to try to find the word that will match and connect to the most colors so that you can get rid of the blocks and stay alive. I'm already at about 1,000 points. I wonder how many points you have. I wonder who could have the most of all the people around you. You can play over and over and see if you can beat your high score. If you want to keep playing, simply pause this video and come back when you're ready. But we're moving on because we have one more big idea. And to me, this is the most important idea. The idea that technology is all around us. It affects all of our lives, and it can be good or bad, depending on how we do it. So it's important that we think about our technologies and build them to be safe and helpful for everybody. The choices we make with AI matter in the real world. So you can see these ethical impacts are how we think about what our technology does and how we can make it better. Our new fifth game is code.org/oceans. Let's go over there now. Code.org/oceans. Oceans is one of those tricky sounding words. It sounds like it has a sh sound, SH, but actually has a C. OCEANS. It's kind of a tricky one. Let's head over. What I like about this game that we're going to see is that it's not just about playing with AI, and we're going to go to this big orange try now button, okay? It's also about thinking about what our AI does. And I really appreciate that about this game. Now, you should watch the video when you play this, but I'm going to hit continue just so I can show you what to do before you go play. Don't start yet. It also makes that bubble noise over and over from every screen. So if you're playing around other people, I'm going to mute my whole computer so that I don't hear that noise every time. You're going to identify things with AI and find out if it's a fish or trash. This is a great ethical example of how we might use AI in the ocean to protect fish and filter out trash. If the trash machine in the ocean is deciding whether or not an object is a fish, we really want to make sure it does a good job. Otherwise, we're not really protecting fish if we capture the fish as trash, or if we let trash go that should have been captured. The other thing that this game does toward the end is it helps you to think about what it means to have a judgment, like, is a fish pretty? Is a fish worthwhile? Should we have it? And those are important issues to ask because not all technology works the same for everyone, especially if you built it as a judgment. You also need to train AI long enough so that it is able to understand fully and have all those sort of tricky cases. I bet you can play AI for Oceans all on your own. So go ahead and get started. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. We have had 5 big ideas in AI. We've played together for 10 whole days, and it was so fun for me to play with you. I hope you had a good time learning about artificial intelligence. I want you to keep coding and playing and to show your friends your favorite AI game. I hope we see each other another time. Goodbye. Thank you. It's been wonderful.